right, what's up everybody? Gary Simon here. So yeah, you don't see me now like you normally do because I'm currently about to sell our house and the green screen's not in this room. We're about to paint it. So unfortunately, I know, very sad you don't get to see my pretty face. Today we're gonna be designing a logo. All right, and so the logo is gonna be for this site, become a React.dev. So become a React dev. All right, so this is a request from a fellow YouTuber via Discord. Now, just a side note, you guys are gonna get so jealous, but there is a special super secret hidden Discord server for all of the programming and some designers, YouTube influencer people. Brad Traversy's there, DevEd is there, Web Dev Simplified's there, Net Ninja's there. We're all just hanging out, and unfortunately, you're not invited. You would have to become a YouTuber in order to get invited. So yeah, that sucks. Anyhow, he hit me up and he wanted to see if I would do like a landing page redesign yesterday, but I don't have enough time. So I said, maybe I can do a logo. He may actually, I assumed he wanted a logo for this because I haven't talked to him since suggesting that I do a logo. I'm just gonna do it now anyhow. But he may actually intend on leaving it be Dev Mentor Live because that's kind of his branding. But I'm just gonna, this will be a good exercise anyhow to see how I would approach designing a concept for become a React dev. And yeah, I think we'll be able to gain some insight into my process because I used to be an identity designer big time for 5 to 7 years. So yeah, as always, make sure to subscribe and let's get started. Now, before we begin, some of you may not know, but earlier in the year, I released a UI design bootcamp on Scribble. Now, Scribble.com is one of the hottest new ways to learn coding as well as design. At Scribble, you don't just watch videos. No. You're actually able to modify code in the browser while you learn. My course on UI design features over 100 lessons that are specifically tailored to help you become an awesome UI designer, and they're packed with interactive challenges. So visit the very first line in the description of this YouTube video to access my course along with many others for a very low monthly fee. All right, so here I am in Adobe Illustrator. Usually when you're designing a logo or a concept, a lot of people, a lot of identity designers prefer to work on paper first to come up just with a rough concept. For me, sometimes I skip that process and I just go straight into working in a digital environment, which is completely fine. First thing I'd like to do is take the artboard tool and kind of just extend it out further, just so at 100% I can see everything. Actually, let me dial that back just a little bit because I was zoomed out at that point. All right, so basically so it's become a, wait, what is it? I already forgot. Become a React dev, or become a React.dev. So we're going to include the .dev because it's kind of relevant to the name. Become a React what, right? So we're going to include the actual extension as well because that's a part of the name. So React, let's think, how would we approach coming up with a suitable concept for this? And so what we could do is, well, what is it about? It's becoming a developer of some sort, specifically for React. So one of the first things I thought about doing is taking a look at the current React logo. All right, so this is the SVG-based icon they have for React. Everybody's pretty familiar with it. And I'm just gonna paste this in here to think about what I would wanna do. And many times, I'll just leave this off to the side or whatever. It's just kind of like an asset. You can think of it like a mood board. You can come up with other ideas here. And just, we'll look at it in a second, but a lot of times I do also like to just get the type out. So become a React.dev. So what I'll do is increase that size. So yeah, coming out right around here. And really what I would do is I experiment with just going through a bunch of fonts just to see if there's something I think might be interesting or something that might work right away. One font that I found specifically, and other times maybe I don't see anything that's on my computer, and I might go to a font site like dafont.com and just kind of go through there. So for instance, just to show you, this is what I did for this process as well to come up with this particular logo design concept. And I wanted a sans serif font, so we click up there. We go to more options, and we'll just choose 100% free and change the listing by like 200 results so that we don't have to keep on clicking next page. So it's going to sort this automatically by popularity, and you just type in here, you know, become a React.dev and submit. And then that way you can come across a bunch of potential icons that you, or not icons, but topography or font families that you think may potentially work. So one that I kind of liked that I found is called Kenyan Coffee Regular. I just kind of like it. It's kind of a condensed bolder font. And so we have 3 different words essentially here, even though I don't think that's really a word, but we have 3 ideas here, actually 4. Become a React.dev. So we need to separate this out. So because going like this, it's going to be hard for people to really recognize what this is saying right off the bat. And there's multiple ways we can approach that. For instance, color is the first thing that comes to my mind. You could just change one of these to a certain color, like the A, and that separates that out, you know, so like we can make this blue or something like that. That's one way to kind of separate the words out visually. Another way, which I think this is the approach that I will take, is what we'll do is Alt and dragging will replicate the layer here in Illustrator. And I want these all to be on their own layer for now. So come here, React, and then .dev. So instead of just putting spaces here, because this is a URL and that kind of looks weird, we can just take this, Shift Alt, and scale it down. So I kind of like that right away. It has a nice even white space around it. You can still see it's an A, and it's easy to read now. And we can even do the same thing with the dev to kind of keep up with that, you know, that pattern here. So big, small, big, and then small. So let's see what the size of this is. 71.69. And we'll get that aligned up near the center as well. Wish I had a guide that, like, you know what we'll do to make sure it's actually there? We'll just take this, Alt, drag, there we go. So now, .dev. All right, so that's pretty cool right there. And you could also maybe move this down. That could work as well. I'm gonna leave that up there. And now we can think, you know, sometimes you don't necessarily need a symbol. And of course, you would never want to use another company's symbol. We're just, you know, trying to get potential ideas here. And then this could be a word mark only logo. I'm going to go ahead and take it a little bit step further and try to work in some sort of icon in here as well. So looking at this, what could we do? A lot of this process is just identifying shapes and potential concepts that would make sense and would be relevant. For me, because this is specific to React, I think it would be cool to use some sort of interesting takeaway from the React logo. And so what I think I'm going to do here is take the ellipse tool and maybe just kind of get the same 2 kind of orbits right here, this one and this one. So to do that, I'll come to the center and I'm going to get rid of the fill and then give ourselves a stroke. And then the stroke will beef up a little bit. And then what we can do, I'm going to rotate this by 45 degrees and then I can pull in. And notice they're not exactly on a 45-degree radius, but I'm just going to kind of eyeball it into place here. All right, right around there looks pretty good. Probably scale that down just a bit. And it's not exact, but it's okay. It's still basically in the same orientation. So now what we'll do is take this, move this off to the side, and we will scale this down. Now, so my initial idea is to take this and maybe just kind of encase it around the part. I know that looks like garbage right now. Don't worry. We're going to make it look good in a second. And so let's just make this black for now. I don't want to work with color. All right. And then we'll take this down maybe at around 6 points or so. All right. And maybe we'll go a little bit larger with that. There we go. All right, so now what we'll do is duplicate that, Control-C, Control-F, and then we'll go ahead and right-click, transform, and reflect vertical, and hit OK. So now we could take both of these, maybe move them up to the left, and now we're pretty much there in the center. All right, and I think I want to make this a little bit less thick. There, I sort of like that. I think that's interesting. That's one potential way we can take it. Now let's go ahead and see about adding color to this. And again, you may end up with just a monotone logo, which is completely fine. So what I'm going to do is just replicate this. Let's take both of these and scale them down. All right. Oops, didn't want to do that. Just take this one. There we go. So now we're going to work on this one as a concept for making it colored. So what I'll do is let's just take both of these and replicate them. And then I'm going to take a square. All right, the square, I'm just going to go ahead and use that color. No, for the stroke, we're not going to have one. We'll just give it this blue color here. And what we'll do is we're going to take all of that. So we're taking the two shapes beneath them that we can't see. We're going to go Window and Pathfinder. All right. And then we'll just choose this divide option. So now we can take the direct selection tool and just take this outer area, which we don't need. And now we have these 4 blips right here. All right. So those 4 or 5 shapes rather, they're all part of the same group right now. So if we expand our layers, we'll see what's inside of this group. It's just those shapes now. And we can work with this specifically. So what I'll do is now we'll get rid of this one up top. Place that right there and take the group and put it underneath the and then make this one white now. So double click the foreground. All right, so I'm not happy with that. We need a way to kind of change up these colors a little bit. So to do that, I will right-click and ungroup those just so I can use the normal selection tool to select each one of these individually. And I'm just going to change the hue up slightly between each one of these. So I might move up a little bit more. I wish there was a live change where this updated live, but it doesn't. And so next up, we're going to change this one. Maybe down a little bit. All right, that's cool. Then perhaps we'll change this middle one. I don't want to use that actual color to something that's a little bit darker so we can increase the contrast of the A. So we'll come up to maybe a little bit bluer. There, I like that. So I think this is cool. This is an interesting sort of take. It's not very hue saturated, if you know what I mean. It's kind of a little bit more washed out, but it still has good color. And I overall like it. We can take it another step. And when it comes to producing logo design concepts, I mean, you can definitely add a lot of variations on each concept. So we already have, 2 right here. So let's do another one where perhaps we're working in a little bit more color and shades and highlights within this shape. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take the pen tool and I'm just going to come out like right around here. All right, and I'm just going to go up and around. Oops, we're going to close that off. And then I'm going to take both of these 2 shapes, kind of hard to see which one, but I do have 3 elements selected. And what I want to do is divide those, and then get rid of this. So now these are their own shapes, and what I'll do is hit the eye for the eyedropper. Take this one. Oops, where is that one at? That's weird. It did not cut that. Let's back up. Oh, I know why I didn't. I'm glad that happened. I selected the A type because it's not converted to outline yet, and so if you select right here, it still might select the type. So that's why that screwed up. So now I'm going to select both the right elements. There we go. And then we'll do this. And it's going to work now. I guarantee it. Now that went away because when you do that, it makes a group. So I'm just going to bring that back down. I'm going to delete that. And now we have access just to that one as well. So hit the eyedropper, direct selection tool. And that's already the same color here, so we don't need to change that. So now what I'll do is just double click into this current color because it's matching the background, and maybe we'll just make it lighter like that. All right, do the same thing here, and maybe we'll make this one a little bit lighter. All right, so that's kind of cool. Let's do another one, maybe one more, starting from here. Maybe going up and around. And maybe this one will come back and we'll also have it kind of cut into this area. So now what we can do is take this, and we'll make sure we're taking this layer, or this path rather, and this one. And then we'll go ahead and divide. All right, so now we have several things to work with. Oops. Let's get this one. And then finally this one as well. So we'll hit I. And now this one, let's make it a little bit darker. So we'll come down here. I think that's a little bit too dark, honestly. And maybe we'll make it a little bit more into blue. Not too happy with that still. I'll come back to it though. And in this one, we'll make it a little bit darker as well. So we'll come down. And then this one, yeah, we'll go darker as well. Maybe not that dark. All right, so that's another way that we can just add interesting shadows to the element to give it, just another look. Now, one thing that I'm thinking about, after looking at this, we could probably improve this. One thing that doesn't make sense is like, why are we focused on the Like, does it make sense? Like, what's so special about the letter A here? It's like the least important word of all these. So what if we did another one where instead of A being placed there, let's make this black. We'll go ahead and take this and put it over here by dev. All right, now let's go ahead and group this whole thing. Now it's I. We'll put it to the very bottom. And we'll enlarge it a bit. Now let's get this all moved over. You don't want them to be too close together because at smaller sizes it would become a little bit difficult to see the difference here. And we're going to make this one white. All right, and maybe we'll scale this down. That way it's completely in the blue center portion. And now this is too close over here, so we'll move things over. All right, so I think that looks potentially pretty cool. Let's see what it looks like at extra small sizes. I think that's it still works out. I do like it. All right, so now we can go ahead and put this here, move these around a little bit. Scale this one up because this is the one I kind of like the best. We take our artboard and really increase, the height here. Let's move stuff around. All right, and so one thing that we can do is illustrate, what the purpose is behind this little concept. So it's rather abstract, but it's just to give you kind of like a hint of the orbitals, I guess you could say, in the actual React logo itself, and the dev being in the center. It's kind of just marrying the two ideas of React and dev. So that's the relevance and the symbolism behind the actual logo. So what we can do is we'll take just the symbol itself. We're going to start with this. So we can do what's called a logo reconstruction to illustrate how we got from point A to point B, and illustrate the significance or the relevance behind the actual shape. And then we can just take this over here. Maybe the next thing we can show is we'll take these two elements, copy them, paste them. We don't want the A though. And we'll beef this up. All right, something like this. We'll take this, we'll make that black as well. So we're going to convert into grayscale and then take the opacity down big time. Maybe we'll make that up a little bit more. All right. And then what we can do is we'll take, let's see here. We'll take this, increase it. This is going to be like the final symbolism right here, but it's not, it's going to be .dev. Let's scale this down a bit. All right. All right, and then what we can do is we'll do a grayscale or a monotone version of this. So we'll take all this, hide it, make this black. Take this, these two rather. Let's group those. Duplicate it. All right, so now we have kind of just like a 4-step little process here. So then what you could do is you could take, you can create like maybe a little arrow icon. Let me redo that. Make that black. What is happening? Oh, it's because did I not connect those? I don't understand what's happening here. Direct selection tool. Where did my ability to change the freaking fill go? Oh my God, are you kidding me? Something funky's happening here. Let's try this again. Okay, this time we'll make it black. And the guides aren't working how I wanted them to make it even. There we go. That looks pretty even right there. So now we just have like a small arrow that can be used to show that you're going from this to this and to that ultimately. And now if I had more time, I would kind of like beautify this up a little bit more, just to present the actual icon or the logo to the client. But overall, pretty happy with it. Hopefully it gave you a little bit of insight into how, I would tackle one such concept. Now, if this was a serious project, you would want to provide multiple concepts just for different ideas, and you're going to increase the chances that you're working with the client successfully. And of course, that also depends on how much they're paying you as well. It's completely fine if a client doesn't have like a big budget, to just provide them with one concept with multiple variations like this, and you'll still have probably a pretty good experience with them. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that. As always, make sure to subscribe up, and I will be returning on camera very soon, so don't worry about that, as I'm sure you all just completely are. All right, goodbye.